Coming up with drum patterns in any music production software, including FL Studio, can be challenging for a variety of reasons. Here's a few. 1. Lack of experience. If you're new to producing music or creating drum patterns, it may take some time to develop the skills and knowledge needed to create compelling rhythms. 2. Lack of inspiration. Sometimes, even experienced producers may struggle to come up with ideas for new drum patterns. This can be due to a lack of inspiration or creative block. Or 3. Limited sample library. If you're using stock drum samples that came with your software, you may find your options limited. It may be challenging to create unique and good sounding drum patterns with these sounds. So let's say we find solutions to all these problems just by cooking up more beats, so that beats lack of experience, we're inspired, and we have good sound. Say we download my free drum kit. I'm going to give you a step-by-step process to create drum patterns every time that should sound good. So here, I've created an acronym for you guys to remember. I've kind of made it in a word that kind of sounds weird, you know, like moist, gives you that weird feeling. The acronym I've created is SHLIV, S-H-L-I-V, SHLIV, which means snare, hi-hat, low end, intricacies, and variation. This is a process you can use to create drum patterns that are consistently effective. Let's start with the first one, snare. Treat the snare as the anchor of your song. Everything else can be somewhat inconsistent at some point, but the snare, let that be predictable. Side note, you have to be aware of the specific genre you're using and the kind of patterns they use in this genre, so you can know what kind of snare patterns you can use, where you can put your snares, and what's appropriate for this genre. So, let's say we had this sample right here. And I'm in the realm of hip hop and trap. In trap and hip hop, a lot of times the snare is gonna be on the 3 and 7, and then, you know, drill, there's different variations of that, it'll be different. But just to show you what I mean, you wanna think of each section here as a beat. So you have the beat 1 here, it starts, 2, 3, and we said hip hop and trap, a lot of times it's on the 3 and the 7, 4, 5, 6, 7. Or you might just get used to it from seeing it often and you can just listen to it and just put it in. So this should be the kind of snare or clap pattern that we have when we're creating this hip hop beat with this sample. And it's that easy. You'll also see a lot of times in hip hop that there's that same 3 and 7, but there's hits in between. Right? But it's consistent. So for example, and it just repeats, but it's the same thing. It's still hitting on the 3rd and the 7th, but you have these 2 notes in between kind of creating that consistent percussive vibe. But we'll talk about that a little more when we get to the end of this process. Next is the H. The H in SHLIV stands for a hi-hat. The hi-hat brings the energy and groove of the beat or song. So here's the process you can use to create your hi-hats. If you have no idea where to start, you have no rhythm that's popping out to you in your head, just start with a 2-step hi-hat pattern. Then add a rhythm within the 2-step. With this, you can just click it in and just find a rhythm you like, try different notes out and take them out when you don't see fit. And then you'll create something that is enjoyable. See, if you don't have enough rhythms in your head and you keep listening to hi-hat patterns, you have no idea, then you have to listen to more music, listen to more rhythms in music. You need to get more rhythms in your brain catalog. So start with a 2-step, add some notes, take some notes out, and add some variations to those notes, add some rolls, add some triplets, and then you will have a great hi-hat pattern. Let's use this in practice. So to quickly demonstrate, we're using the same beat. We just locked in the snare. Now we're gonna add the hi-hats. So let's say I have no idea. I'm listening to the song and I don't feel a groove popping out to me. I don't hear anything. I'm just gonna go to the hi-hats in the channel rack, right click it and hit fill each 2 steps. It's gonna give me a 2-step hi-hat pattern. Sadly, it's gonna be only for the first couple bars, but we need all these bars. So I'll just copy that over. All I did there was Control B, select the whole bar and then Control B it over. All right, so now that sounds pretty solid, but we don't want it to be that basic. So now we're just gonna click in notes, see if it feels, see if it sounds good, and then take out what we don't like. Let's see. Right here, I'm gonna add a roll closer to the end of the second and fourth bars. You're allowed to experiment and do a lot more than you usually can within the other bars. So I'm gonna add a roll, and to do this, I'm gonna hit Alt U. It's gonna give me the chopping tool, which I can adjust how much chopping I want done. And I'm gonna just go ahead and add a roll right here. Now I'm going to take what I have here for the first 4 bars and just copy it over again with Control B. And now I just have the same pattern repeating, and it's pretty solid. Next is L. The L in Shliv stands for low end. So for your kick or your chosen low end instrument, start on the 1 and create something simple and repetitive. There are only so many kick variations that are possible. Like a snare, a low end must be somewhat grounding and repetitive. So listen to the genre, make sure you have an idea of the kind of grooved and low end kick bounces that exist in this realm. So let's go ahead and use this. So here we have our low end instrument, which is our kick, and we're just gonna go ahead and put 1 on a 1 like we said, and now just create a groove, kind of like a call and response to the snare that sounds good. And just like that, I quickly created a kick bounce. But don't be discouraged, I'm really used to this. I just put something in and it sounds pretty good. Let's take a listen. And I'm just gonna go ahead and quickly copy this same pattern to the 808. Now we have the kick bounce in the 808 drum. A lot of times nowadays you see kicks and 808s being intertwined and used together. So I'm gonna use the same kick pattern, but with the 808, there's more musicality to an 808. So we have to change the key and make sure it's in tune with the song. So I'm just gonna have to move these up to the key, and this you're gonna have to learn either by ear or you're just gonna have to learn minimal music theory. But you can take a listen and see that it's in tune. Next is I. The I in Shliv stands for intricacies. You could think of this as leveling up your drum pattern by adding snares or percussive instruments in the empty spaces of your groove. Think of it as more air candy, somewhat in a percussive sense. Let them also have a call and response relationship to something that already exists in the drum pattern. Let's use an example to bring this forward. So here we've added this open hat to add as some more flair to the beat. Let's take a quick listen. That is an example of an intricacy. Here we have another original snare. We're gonna lay in a pattern. I'm gonna show you something that's also an intricacy that makes the beat more interesting. Here we filled in a snare with some notes that kind of add flair to the beat. Let's take a listen. So my best tip for this is to fill empty spaces in the beat and add some rolls, keep it interesting, make it sound good. Intricacies, you want to fill the blank spaces with something that sounds interesting. Lastly is V. The V in Shliv stands for variation. It means making it better and adjusting. So you can change something with the A part of the drum pattern with the B part, adjust the velocity, add some swing, make the drum pattern sound interesting. Let's do it in practice. So we're here in the hi-hat section of the same beat we just created. I'm gonna hit Alt-R to make the randomizer tool up, and we're gonna just change the velocity of the notes, you know, adjust the release a little bit, just change things up so things sound a little bit different. Now this tool is better. You can go ahead and change the velocity manually by yourself, but this is a quick way to get a different feel. And then you can go ahead and add some swing, which is just making it sound offbeat, kind of adds a humanistic element to it. So instead of selecting random notes, because we did not play this in manually, I'm gonna hit Shift R and hold it down. It's gonna select a few notes, and then I'm gonna take this and shift it a little bit off grid. Now I've added variation to the whole pattern. It sounds unique. I've added some modulation X and Y on the open hi-hat and changed the release a little bit, panning velocity with everything. And this is how the pattern sounds right now. Pretty cool. There you have it, a process you can use to create drum patterns easily, consistently, and effectively. So the acronym to remember is SHLIV, S-H-L-I-V. But remember, before that, make sure you understand the genre, keep on listening to different various types of music, and use quality drum sounds. Guess so, that's it. I'll see you guys on the next one.